first two sessions that I had, I spoke of Surat Al-Baqarah and Surat Al-Imran, and today, inshallah, I'll talk about Surat An-Nisa. Again, the goal of these lessons or khawatir is just to kind of give you a bit of an introduction about the surahs of the Quran that are being recited, and kind of give you a compass. So when you're reading yourself and you're trying to figure out or trying to learn from the surah, trying to do tadabbur yourself, you want to learn yourself, then it's always nice to know, have a gist or a feel to what the surah is trying to say. Because if you don't do that, if you don't have that, you can get easily lost when you're reading the Quran. It's very easy to get fully lost. Because if you're in the middle of a surah, especially those long ones, and you don't know what this is trying to tell you, and every verse is the verses are moving from one topic to the other, and you're not sure if there's a common thread that pulls it all together, you don't really take away from it what you're supposed to take away from it. And I think that the Sahaba, the earlier generations of Islam, they had a grasp on these things. So they didn't really need this to be explained to them, because for them the language was was what they were good at. They were very good at the Arabic language, they understood it very well, they were comfortable. So when they read these verses and these surah, to them, this surah is talking about this, and they learn from it. But then throughout generations, the Arabic language, a lot of people who entered Islam weren't Arabs, and they didn't speak the language, and they had to learn it. And of course, learning it entered all these different accents and all these other languages, and they lost that grasp. Allahu A'lam. So, as a quick reminder, Surah Al-Baqarah, basically, it's the longest in the Quran. It's the simplest in terms of its goal, because it tells you what your goal is. I mean, why were you created, what you're here to do, what your job description is, and then it gives you what you're going to use to actually achieve that job, which is the manhaj itself, the actual system and way of life, which is Islam. And it breaks it down it shows you how this is going to turn into a life struggle. You're going to go through life, and as life is, it's a big struggle, and the manhaj is going to help you with that struggle, and it's going to allow you to achieve your goal. So it's a small, it's right in the middle. This is what you do. So Al-Imran is a bigger circle. It's how to maintain this. Make sure you protect it. You hold on to it. You don't mess it up. You don't lose it. You don't lose it to external dangers or to internal dangers. Understanding that there's going to be many obstacles on the way. You're going to have to stand your ground, and you're going to have proper answers. Surat An-Nisa is one circle, a bit bigger. It's called An-Nisa. It's called women, right? I remember there was a non-Muslim friend of my uncle's. My uncle's not a Muslim on my mom's side, and he's a Christian priest, and he had a friend, and he was going through the Quran, and he said, "You guys are cool." I said, "You have a chapter in your book that's called women." I'm like, "Yeah, it's true, but it's not what you think it is, or whatever it is that you think. I don't know what you think, but I assume it's not something good, but that's not what it is." So why is it called An-Nisa? Why is it called women? So An-Nisa is very simple. It talks about the values and the hudud, the red lines, the values of this deen and the red lines of the deen, where the line is drawn, what the values that Islam actually carries. Meaning, in Baqarah, I just told you what to do and not to do, how the system works. Al-Imran, how to protect it and maintain it and how to stand by it. But then you are wondering, what do I stand for? What are the values that I carry? And so Nisa comes and breaks it down in every single aspect of life, but it's called An-Nisa. Why? Because they are the ultimate example. They are the ultimate example of where our values stand, because they are, throughout history, the most oppressed group of people that ever lived on the planet. Most of the time, they're oppressed in a complex manner. They're oppressed on multiple levels for multiple reasons, and the more you look into history, you realize that. And the big test for our faith was going to be, how are you going to deal with this part of society that is mistreated and that is oppressed and that is not offered its rights. So it's called An-Nisa as an example of all parts of society that are minorities and that are mistreated and that are weaker, that are not being given their full rights. And to the Arabs and to the people at the time, the ahkam and the hudud and the qiyam, the values that the Quran came and put for women, for example, in the surah itself, were earth-breaking. Never before did any other religion or any other law talk about women inheriting before Surah An-Nisa, before yusikum Allahu fi awladikum lidhakari mithlu hadhil unthayayn. The concept wasn't there. Go look at it historically. If you don't believe me, go study the issue. Yes, you may find examples of certain women who inherited in their families in certain parts of the world, but for there to be an actual law that is going to be practiced upon everyone, regardless of their background, whether they are royal blood or they're not, whether they are free or enslaved, the Quran is the number one, the first book that ever stated that no matter who you are and where you come from, as a woman, you are going to inherit. So the surah will talk about those who are mistreated. It's going to talk about women. It's going to talk about yatama, وَآتُوا الْيَتَامَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ وَلَا تَتَبَدَّلُوا الْخَبِيثَ بِالطَّيِّبِ. It's going to talk about المستضعفين, those who are mistreated, those who are weak within society. It's going to actually tell us that the only reason that you will fight, the only reason that you will carry a weapon is for them. وَمَا لَكُمْ لَا تُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَالْمُسْتَضْعَفِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ وَالنِّسَاءِ وَالْوِلْدَانِ الَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا. When you're going to fight in Islam, is going to be for the rights and for the protection of people who are mistreated and oppressed within societies. It's going to talk about those who are disabled. لا يستوي القاعدون من المؤمنين غير أولي الضرر والمجاهدون في سبيل الله. Talk about those who can't actually do the job. It'll talk about those who can't carry themselves intellectually properly. وَلَا تُؤْتُوا السُّفَهَاءَ أَمْوَالَكُمْ. To protect those who are going to blunder all their money away. It talks about the concept, the values of justice, and the values of mercy, and the value of amana, of trustworthiness. All throughout the surah, as you go through it, you will find these values repeated time after time, to the point where there's this ayah in the surah that is probably the most impressive ayah that talks about justice that I've ever read, or not just in the Quran, but in any other religious book. It says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُونُوا قَوَّامِينَ بِالْقِسْطِ شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين. O those who believe, be bystanders and be those who stand by al-haq, by righteousness, and speak the truth and speak what is just. قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله. You're going to speak what is truth, what is the truth, what is truthful, and you'll stand by what is just. ولو على أنفسكم, even if that means you're going to testify against yourself. أو الوالدين, or you're going to testify against your parents. Or you're going to testify against those who are related to you. You're going to say what is truth, what is truthful, what is right, what is just, even if that means you're going to testify against your own self and those who are related to you and those whom you love. This surah actually takes one step further. It says, لَيْسَ بِأَمَانِيِّكُمْ وَلَا أَمَانِيِّ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ. It's not how you want it, or how the people of the book want it. What are you talking about, Ya Rab? مَنْ يَعْمَلْ سُوءًا يُجْزَ بِهِ وَلَا يَجِدْ لَهُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ وَلِيًّا وَلَا نَصِيرًا وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِنَ الصَّالِحَاتِ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ يَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةَ وَلَا يُظْلَمُونَ نَقِيرًا. It's not whatever your desires are as Muslims or as the people of the book, thinking that we're the only ones who will enter Jannah, we're the only ones who are going to be rewarded. No, he who makes a mistake will be punished, and he who does good will be rewarded. These are the values that we live by. These are the values that we carry as Muslims. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تُؤَدُّوا الْأَمَانَاتِ إِلَى أَهْلِهَا وَإِذَا حَكَمْتُم بَيْنَ النَّاسِ أَن تَحْكُمُوا بِالْعَدْلِ. Allah commands you that you are trustworthy with what you are given, and that when you judge between people, you use justice to judge between people. It talks about the rights of minorities in the surah. It talks about the rights of minorities. There's a story right in the middle. إنا أنزلنا إليك الكتاب بالحق لتحكم بين الناس بما أراك الله ولا تكن للخائنين خصيما واستغفر الله إن الله كان غفورا رحيما. And if you go through those verses, it talks about someone who stole a shield. A Muslim who stole a shield from another Muslim, and then he almost got caught, so he hid it in the backyard of a Jewish man's house. And then he went and said, "It's not me who stole it. It's this guy. Go look at his backyard." So they went and looked at his backyard, and they found it there. And this man was almost punished because the evidence was pointing toward this Jewish man. And the Quran came and said, "No, it's not him. It's the other person." ولا تجادل عن الذين يختانون أنفسهم إن الله لا يحب من كان خوانا أثيما. And don't stand up for those who betray others, who lie like that. ومن يكسب خطيئة أو إثما ثم يرمي به بريئا فقد احتمل بهتانا وإثما مبينا. Those who will do something wrong and then blame others for it. That is the worst bad thing you could ever do. These are all ayat in the surah. The surah talks about salah, but it talks about salah differently than Surat Al-Baqarah talks about it. Surat Al-Baqarah tells you the hukum, حافظوا على الصلوات. You're going to pray all your prayers. Surat An-Nisa, it talks about a value that is related to salah. What is the value? The value is to respect time. It's to be punctual. إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. You're going to do it on time. It's an issue of punctuality. It's a value of punctuality. It talks about khamr as well, but it doesn't talk about khamr like al-Ma'idah today is going to talk about. Al-Ma'idah talks about khamr as a hukum, as fiqh. It tells you it's haram and other things are halal. So al-Ma'idah, Nisa looks at it from a value perspective. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَقْرَبُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَنْتُمْ سُكَارَى حَتَّى تَعْلَمُوا مَا تَقُولُونَ. You should not come towards prayer when you are drunk and intoxicated. Why? Because you don't know what you're saying is rude. You're speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should have better values than that, than to come to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without actually knowing what you're saying. Surat An-Nisa, when it looks at the deen, is giving us what our values are supposed to be. It talks about those who are oppressed in the world and how they're supposed to They're supposed to get out of their oppression. Their values should be that we shouldn't accept. They should try and leave. But what about those who can't leave? إن الذين توفاهم الملائكة ظالمي أنفسهم قالوا فيما كنتم قالوا كنا مستضعفين في الأرض. Those who will be called upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who weren't Muslims or they were living in a part of the world where they were oppressed and they couldn't practice their religion, they'll be asked, what was your problem? They'll say we were oppressed, we couldn't do anything. قالوا ألم تكن أرض الله واسعة فتهاجروا فيها. Why? Was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's earth not big enough for you to go find a place where you wouldn't be oppressed so you couldn't practice your religion? فأولئك مأواهم جهنم وساءت مصيرا. Those will be punished. And then the ayah after it. So you can see the values that we're supposed to, these are the values of our deen. إلا المستضعفين من الرجال والنساء والولدان لا يستطيعون حيلة ولا يهتدون سبيلا. But those who come يوم القيامة who didn't practice and weren't Muslim and were living in a place where they had no choice. They were so oppressed to the point they had no choice at all. There was nowhere for them to go. They couldn't find a way out and they just didn't have the power. فأولئك عسى الله أن يعفو عنهم. Those ones Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَفُوًّا غَفُورًا. And He is subhanahu wa ta'ala afu. He is the most forgiving and the pardoning subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surat An-Nisa is called women because it's the ultimate example. How are you going to treat women? Are they going to be respected? Are they going to be given their rights? That's why the surah came and talked about their inheritance. They'll talk about marriage. Prior to this ayah, a man could take as many wives as he wanted. And the Quran said, no. إن خفتم ألا تعدلوا فواحدة أو ما ملكت أيمانكم. You can go up to 4, and if you're not going to be just with this, and if you don't have enough money, you're not someone who's capable of being just, then you marry one, which is what most of us do today. In Khalas, we've lost that battle a long time ago. It's one. It's one for all of you. And I know every man here has had this discussion with his wife and lost multiple times, and just forget about it. And there's no mulk yamin, so just be happy with what you got. ذلك أدنى ألا تعودوا. ذلك أدنى ألا تعودوا. This is so that you do not become someone who is zalim, who is oppressive. Because in Islam, the number one value that we carry is justice. And the second value is going to be rahmah. And the third value is going to be fadl. That you will give what you have for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll give more. You'll make sure that you give a bit more and do a bit more and stretch yourself a bit farther. The surah talks about values, even the values of hishma, even the ethics of sexuality. The surah comes and talks about zina. إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً وَمَقْتًا وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. They'll talk about that you can't do this. These types of actions are haram and you should never fall under these actions. It'll talk about the values within the family and how we're supposed to respect one another. الرجال قوامون على النساء. That's what the ayah actually means. It's very weird when someone takes this ayah and uses it to speak of how we're brutal. The whole surah is trying to teach us to be merciful and just. And this is an example. This is exactly what I'm trying to explain to you. That if you don't know what the surah is trying to explain, you can take this ayah out of context completely and butcher its understanding and butcher its explanation completely because you had no idea what this surah was here to do. This surah was here to stand for the mustad'afeen, to stand for the weak, to stand for the oppressed, and to say that as Muslims your values are to find justice for them, is to speak up for them, is to defend them, is to show them mercy and show all those around you mercy. This is what the surah is here to teach us. And then you take that ayah and you use it as an example of how we're going to oppress people. SubhanAllah. That just shows how little we understand the book that we're actually reading. It's just very depressing to be honest when you look at it. The surah talks about even the value of when someone gives salam to you. وَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنَ مِنْهَا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. Even if someone greets you, you should greet in a better way. You should return this greeting in a better way, or at least the same. If someone's going to say something kind to you, you do the same. It talks about when people are fighting in war, that if they see someone who decides to be a Muslim, for example, someone in the middle of war says, "I'm Muslim," what do? When you're fighting, you should know. كَذَلِكَ كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلِ فَمَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمْ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Your values are not of killing people. It's not of destruction, and you're not bloodthirsty. The moment someone accepts the deen, the moment someone comes back, be patient. You see someone who's not a Muslim, don't judge them. Why? كَذَلِكَ كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلِ. You were just like them not too long ago. فَمَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted you His blessing. He gave you Islam. Alhamdulillah, now you pray, but your friend doesn't. Don't judge them. Why? Because you were just like them not too long ago. فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Be patient. Be kind. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرًا. Indeed, subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows all. Surat An-Nisa is the third layer. You'll see how the layers are going to get bigger. Surat Al-Baqarah, I told you your job. Gave you the job, description, who you are, what you're here to do. And it gave you the system you're going to use and the struggle that comes with it. So Surat Al-Imran told you how to maintain it. It's very important to maintain. It will not stand up and prevail and rise on its own. It's going to need people to do it. And there are certain obstacles, external and internal, that come with that. Surat An-Nisa gives you your value system. It gives you the value system that you will continue to carry. What do I stand for? Okay, I was given the job and the system and to maintain it. So what am I? Am I a savage? What do I care for? What are my priorities? Surat An-Nisa comes and tells you your number one priority is justice. Number one priority. The most important thing that you will carry with you is al-haqq and is al-adl. Is for you to stand for the concepts of justice and for the concept of truthfulness. It comes and tells you that mercy, rahmah, is your number one concept. This is what you're going to be looking for. You're going to continuously look for those who need rahmah and deserve rahmah and offer them rahmah. That's why the surah goes through all these parts of people within society that are mistreated. And it points them out one by one. If you go through the surah, you'll find it. When it talks about munafiqeen, for example, when it talks about munafiqeen, what part of nifaq does it talk about? It talks about munafiqeen because there's a lot of issues when it comes to hypocrisy that we should learn about. What part of hypocrisy in Surat An-Nisa is important? The part of Surat An-Nisa is interested in is مُذَبْذَبِينَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ لَا إِلَىٰ هَؤُلَاءِ وَلَا إِلَىٰ هَؤُلَاءِ. They do not have clarity. The problem with them from a value perspective is that they can't seem to take a stand. They can't seem to make a choice. Who are you with? What are you doing? Where are you going? What do you stand for? Either one day he's here, one day he's there. One day she's doing this, one day she's doing that. The whole point of Surat Nisa, that's why if you study nifaq throughout the Quran, every surah looks at nifaq based on whatever the goal of the surah is. So Surat Nisa looks at dhabdhaba. They're in between. They can't seem to hold on to something. They can't seem to do it. They're just falling from one part to the other. And that's the point of nifaq that Surat Nisa is going to look at. So when you look at Surat Nisa, the focus is the value system. It's giving us a value system. What are our values? What is it that we prioritize in life? How do we go by our own lives in prioritizing concepts? Are we people who don't care about others? Are we completely without rahmah and compassion? Are we selfish, only caring for ourselves? No. الذين يبخلون ويأمرون الناس بالبخل ويكتمون ما آتاهم الله من فضله أولئك أعتدنا لهم عذابا مهينا. Those who are selfish and will not offer what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them, these are the ones who are going to be punished. So when you go through the surah, you will find that. Is it time for Adhan? I hope that was beneficial. So 3 layers so far. Surah Al-Baqarah, the job, description, and the system. Surah Al-Imran, the maintenance. And Surah An-Nisa is the value system. And Nisa, the women, as an example, was given because they are the ultimate example of those who were mistreated throughout history and continue to be, unfortunately, today, even within our own communities. I hope that was beneficial. Subhanakallah bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We'll continue inshallah tomorrow.